Astrofarm, it's a very special place. Astrofarm, Astrofarm, can't you see we're living on an asteroid in outer space? Astrofarm, Astrofarm, everywhere a friendly place.
1972's Silent Running is a pro-eco, pro-people murder science fiction movie with a truly unique vibe about it. I say this in the sense that right out of the gate, this film immediately synced with me emotionally, and from there it never quite let go. It's an incredibly human film, which is odd considering that the majority of the cast are in fact robots. This was first brought to my attention courtesy of MST3K's own Joel Hodgson, who said that the film had inspired him in many ways to create the base elements of the show itself. It's also one of his, and fellow movie critic Mark Kermode's, favourite films. In fairness, it had been on my watch list for years, and this Christmas just past I was surprised with a Blu-ray copy of it as a gift. So while still knee-deep in mince pies and turkey, I sank into my winter den, popped it on, and I have to say I was absolutely bloody blown away with it. The film follows Freeman, played excellently by Bruce Dern, as an astronaut turned groovy gardener. Freeman and his fellow crewmates inhabit the space hauler known as Valley Forge. You see, in the not too distant future, we've absolutely destroyed the planet in the name of capitalism. The weather is always 23.8 degrees Celsius, everyone has a job, and no one dares to dream of a better way of living. The forests, valleys, and ecology of the planet are all gone, and our crew are the custodians of the last remnants of this, with large swathes of forests scooped up and stored in domes that are attached to the sides of the space haulers, which in a nice bit of product placement are sponsored and ran by a future version of American Airlines. All is clement on the Valley Forge until one day an emergency announcement comes through the broadcast system informing them that they're to jettison all of the forest domes and detonate them with nuclear charges. They're then to return back to Earth, where the haulers will return to commercial use. Freeman's crew, who aren't as bothered about the loss of the last remnants of nature, are delighted with the idea of being able to return home sooner than they'd anticipated. Freeman, on the other hand, is absolutely horrified that the thing he's dedicated so much of his life to appreciating and preserving is about to be absolutely decimated, and that worse still, it's set to be at his hands. On the day of the detonations, Freeman snaps. He kills a crew member inside one of the domes, jettisons a second dome early with the remaining crew still on board, and then detonates that with them trapped in there. He then fakes his death in a ship crash by flying the hauler into Saturn's dust rings, giving the appearance of a botched landing. The rest of the film follows Freeman as he lives out a bittersweet version of his paradise, reprogramming 3 small support droids to act more human and to follow his instructions. He christens them Huey, Dewey and Louie, and they set to work maintaining the garden, and when they're not doing that, Freeman tries to further humanise the robots by talking to them and playing games with them. All the while, Freeman grows increasingly aware that he is now utterly devoid of human contact and will be unlikely to ever speak to another human in an empathetic way ever again. And that's the film pretty much. I make it sound a bit shit, but I assure you its genius is largely grounded in its performances. There's subtle dialogue and a fantastic sense of Cinean direction. One of the biggest problems I've got when talking about this film is that the more I say about it, the more likely I am to detract from your actual enjoyment of it. Not that this film has make or break spoilers or anything, rather the more you know about the film going in, the more you're mentally prepared for it and the less impact the film will have overall. Personally, I'd stop my review here and go and dig it out if you can, because even now I've kind of spoiled some chunks of it. Even from the opening moments, the direction is genuinely engrossing. It's a series of long pulling back shots that gradually reveal the forest dome, but it's so tightly shot with such an attention to detail and focus. It's so perfectly timed. that it totally sets the mood and tone for the rest of the film from there on in. Don't expect a roller coaster thrill ride here though. This film is a super slow burner. It has to be really, because it needs to slowly build up the relationship between the audience, Freeman and the droids. And because of that, much like a decent slow-cooked meal, the end results are a satisfying and well-balanced script with some genuinely great improvisations and little touches that just help to make it special. The soundtrack's also absolutely killer, easily one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Well, the instrumental tracks are at least. There is a vocal track in here that's a little bit overbearing, though mercifully it's only sparingly used. It helps give the film a more earthy vibe to it, and it's predominantly folk-based. They really managed to hit the ground running with this one from a music perspective, honestly. Directing this film, we have Douglas Trumbull, a man probably best known for his work in visual effects, having previously done work on 2001: A Space Odyssey. Trumbull would go on to direct and assist in the visual effects for this movie, before going on to work on films like Blade Runner and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. From what I've read of his life, he seems more like an inventor than a filmmaker. He spent a large chunk of his life experimenting with how audiences watched movies, and is probably best known for working on things like IMAX and the likes. But he always seemed very sincere and polite to people from what I've been able to read on the man. Here, the film's direction and cine shine through, and it kind of upsets me that apart from Back to the Future the ride, he didn't really direct anything else of note, because I'd have loved to have seen him do more. Writing duties? Well, they're split three ways between Derek Washburn, Mike Camino and Steve Bochco. Washburn and Camino's biggest credit here is probably The Deer Hunter, which is a damn fine achievement to have on your CV in my opinion. Camino is also responsible for having written Heaven's Gate, quite possibly one of the biggest flops in cinema history. So, epic highs and lows, I guess. Bochco is simply a master of television writing. He's done tons, absolute tons of television. Highlights include cop shows like Hill Street Blues, LA Law and NYPD Blue, amongst many, many other contributions. Apart, these writers are all legends. Combined, they're amplified even further. This is arguably one of the most fluid and genuinely scripted films from a dialogue perspective that I've ever seen. It feels real, the conversations feel real. I could see these debates playing out, I could see these scenarios actually unfolding. This is one of the only scripts I've ever watched that's made me feel genuinely empathetic towards what realistically are no more than 3 washing machines. It's astounding when writers can do that and make you feel in such a way for what are ultimately inanimate objects. But that's somehow what this script has managed to do. It's a unique and brilliant piece of writing, and I think it's easily one of the best I've ever reviewed on this channel. In fact, one of the only things I could say works both in favour and against this film, depending on your preferences, is the overall message of the movie. It could in some instances be accused of being a little bit eco-preachy. But then, my counter-argument would be that if you complain that this film's message is a bit heavy-handed, you've kind of missed the point of this movie. And given the rough plot outline, I don't really know what you expected this film to do. I mean, I don't want to talk about the ending of the film too much, but it did leave me with a simultaneous feeling of hopefulness and hopelessness, which is a wonderful contrast of emotions, and it's something I look forward to experiencing many more times in future as I rewatch this film again and again. Honestly, Silent Runnings is a film that a review simply doesn't do justice to. I can't begin to fully explain to you just how strange, how unique and how oddly touching this film is, really. It has a cast and crew that genuinely seem to care about the production and want it to be the best it can be. There's gorgeous Cinean direction, a fantastic soundtrack, one of the most genuine scripts I've ever read, Real human characters, real human robots, astounding model shots, and a unique use of colour. I think I would consider it one of the greatest movies ever made, and I'm sure you will too.